Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new video on the Filemaker series. I'm Tim Haid, your host, and today we're going to be dealing with some viewer questions. One of the questions that we were talking about, one of the questions that we actually had was about the admin button. So we're going to do a specific video and really just kind of dive down into that admin button and see how it works and why it works and all of the relevant features and facts that have to do with this admin button and what it actually is supposed to do. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start off with the overall. So what the admin button does is it allows you to segregate your administrator and your management and send them and or anyone else basically to a specific page. So if you had two different managers and you wanted those two managers to be on different pages or different, you wanted to have different accesses, let's say, and then you also had an administrator, someone who was going to take care of everything and kind of needed everything. That's what that does. So in this sense, and I'll show you quickly, if we type in a manager's number and we go to admin, it takes us to this page. It just very quickly takes us to a as you can see, a back office page. But if we were to type in the administrator code, then it would take us to an entirely different page, an administrator page. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, and it doesn't take a lot of script writing. But we will have to deal with why the system may and or may not work for you, because obviously something is wrong in the slightest. So what we will do is let's first of all let's figure out what we need to have, and then we'll go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to manage our database. Some of the tables that we're looking at is one of the very first tables that we're looking at is going to be our user data. That's user database. That's kind of our big one, the user database. Now, currently we have, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we basically have 17 fields inside of our user database, 17 of them. So make sure that yours are exactly the same. We have access, which is a basic text, that's all it is. We have active, which is also a basic text, or text. I gotta learn how to speak today, huh? The current number. And what the current number is for is that keeps track of your time, what time card is that person on, so all it does is it, like when you're generating your time card and time card data, it says this is the number, this is their serial number, so that when you need to go and look at someone's time card, you can do so via the current number. And of course we also have a last record down here, which is also a number. We have the data link, which is an auto enter serial number, and the data link in this auto enter serial number is like on 5. And what that is it's basically, because we have a list view, we need to be able to keep those records very separate, and we need to be able to actually keep them in line of each other. So what we do is it's just a serial number. That's all it is, basically a data link for that system. You have a destination, which is a text. Now, the destination is how that works is you're going to copy and paste basically where you want that person to go. So when the script takes you to the user data file, it's going to take that information, the destination information, and it's going to go there. That's also where you're going to need some of these other records as well. So you have the first name, the last record, hourly wage if you want to put an hourly wage in for those people. But I do suggest, if you're going to write the script and you're going to manage this database exactly like I actually have it, you should have every single thing named the same. That way it's easy to follow. Then you have a last underscore record. We have notes and notes to, pass and pass to, And then we have passwords, present. Now the password or the pass2 is a global storage. So all we did with that, because it's different, I just want to show you guys. If we just go into here, into the storage, it's just a global storage. So that means it'll be the same for everybody, the same number for everybody's record. And then in our passwords, it says indexed, but all that means is that we didn't do anything for it. It's just a basic number. And we did indexing all. So it's just indexed. Then we have a present, which means are you here or are you not here? So present, there you are. User pass, which is a global storage, and user pass2, which is also global storage. So now that we've got all of those taken care of, let's go look at the script. Now you guys have gotten all of this, and now let's really dive into the script and see what it does and why it does it. So if we were to, let's just look at the script quick before we get into anything else. And as you can see, it's only 32 lines. It's not even that big of a script. It's a pretty small script, about 32 lines. And as always, we start off with this if is empty. If is empty, the menu security box, which is this thing, the security code that you have to put in, because we need a code in this particular sense. We need someone to put a number in there, so we can figure out who they are and where we need to send them, right? So we got to have that data. That's like the very first data that we got to have. So if it's empty, then we'll just show a custom dialog and we'll say there's no information for us to go forward on, and we'll halt the script. And then we're also going to go into this menu error box thing. Now you don't have to have this, so that's fine. You can basically, if you don't want this if statement, you can just completely get rid of this whole section and this whole section. Because what this is doing is, as you see down here in yellow, we've put the error box, and it just keeps track of how many times people have made mistakes. And what it does is it limits the number of times. So somebody can't stand there and just put data in. They can't, press 1, 2, 3, 4, and then enter, and then 1, 2, 3, 5, and then enter 1, 2, 3, 6, and enter 1, 2, 3, 7, and enter. So they can't just continue doing that. They can't continue making an unlimited number of attempts to get into your administrative area, right? So, or your back office, or just anything else. So they can't randomly just sit there all day when they're bored and type in numbers and try to gain access to a system where they shouldn't belong. So that's what that is all about. So the error box, what it does is it sets it. If someone puts a wrong number in, it sets it. It comes back and it sets that number a little bit higher. So here it's saying if the error box is greater than or equal to 2. Greater than or equal to 2. We've limited it down. Show the custom dialog, critical error message. Passcode errors have reached 2 or more. Any additional errors will result in blah, blah, blah. It's just if we have any more errors, then it's going to, and this was primarily a deal for management and admin. So it just basically would warn you that because let's say you came in and put your number in, and this is going to warn you that it's reached 2 and one more. So that gives you an opportunity to clear those errors, and that's the reason why we put the clear errors button right down here. So then we will halt that script, and then we end the if. And then if we don't clear those errors and they're greater than or equal to 3, then it's going to take you to the security breach vault. So if someone's trying to get into your system and they reach 2 and they try to get in, it's going to warn them. It's going to say, hey, one more, and you're going to be closed out of the system. And then, so if they try it again, they're done, right? So here we've done all of these things, even before we have set the very first variable, even before we've done anything. What we've done here is we've said we'll now set a variable, and that variable will be the user. We're going to define this security box as the user. And then that user, the value, will be the menu security box. So that's this box. We basically want to set that variable. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to clear that field out. And don't use clear field and don't use anything else. Just go in, set the field, the security box, to quotations. That will clear it right out. And we're going to set the field username also to clear, although I don't know why, because there should be the username. I don't even remember the username, where we have a username. We'll just type it in there anyway. Menu username, just like it is here. Menu username, and then these little quotation marks. So it'll clear any username. Then we're going to freeze the window. We're going to go to the layout, and that layout is our user database. User info on the user database. And we're going to enter the find mode, and we didn't select anything. If you do this, we've unchecked the pause. We don't want it to pause. And we've put in no specific find requests. None. Then we're going to set a field. Now, it's a big deal if you have your tab order, if there is a tab order on your user data. And the reason why is because your computer, the program, the software program will automatically go to the first tab order. And it doesn't like to move from that first tab order. So if you erase it, and if you're having a problem, you can actually say go to this field and then set the field. But most of the time you don't need to do that. If you just clear your tab order, then you can go back in and this will work just fine. So you're going to set the field, the user database passwords, and then you're going to set that. Remember we took this number and we called it user, and you're going to set that field as the user, the $sign user, that variable. We're going to set the error capture on because we don't want it to stop should we have an issue. So if it doesn't find you, if you're not in the system, then we don't want it to stop and say, hey, we can't find your number. We just want it to continue going. So we'll perform the find. Now, if the user database is empty, so if there's nothing in that passwords box that we just filled in, the interesting thing is if you fill it in and then you perform a find, it'll be empty if there's nothing, if there's no matches. It'll be like there's no matches, right? But you do have to have a record that has nothing in it. So when you are on user data, make sure you have a record that has nothing in it. I've named mine admin, and I'll show you that. I'll show you that in just a minute. But you do have to have a record that has no password in it. Just leave all the other data blank and just have first name, last name, admin. Craft Killer, how are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here today. Then we're going to go to, so if it's empty, we're going to come back to this original layout. And we're going to set our field, that menu error box. Remember this little error box that we have down here, the little yellow thing? We're going to add 1 to it. So strike 1. And then we're going to halt the script. So then we're just going to be right here and we don't have to worry about it. Now, if you wanted to, in this place, this is where you can say if is empty. You can go to, if you guys remember the sec report that we did before, I haven't added that to this, FYI, but you can add it to this. And you probably should add it to it, is what you should do. We're just going through a walkthrough of a script, Craft Killer, a walkthrough of a script. We're doing this for a friend of mine who actually wanted to know about, Tech USA wanted to know about this script. So we're going through it pretty in depth. Pretty in depth. We're going to go through every single step of it. So if you remember correctly, here what you would do is you would say if is empty. So we could go from here, we could go to a layout, right? We could just say go to layout, and we're going to do that. And so this, we're going to start with this one. And this layout is going to be our, and I think we put it under admin, and it should be our sec report. Remember that? So we're going to go to our sec report, and then we have this, the user number already. So we're going to need to create a new record. So we'll new record request, because every time we're adding to it, right? And it's going to take absolute care of us. And then we're going to set a field. And that field is going to be, and we'll go down in here to our security reporting. And I think it was result, right? So the result would be this, and we'll specify that as $user. And because what that's saying is that's the number that someone put in. So someone used this number to try and get into admin, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to set another field. So if we just click off, it'll fill it. Click back on it. We'll set another field. And then that field we're going to set under our security reporting will be the note. And we're going to specify that as admin button. That way we now know that someone tried to use the admin button, and they tried to use, because we just did the security thing, and obviously I showed you guys how to do it, but I haven't fully implemented it into all of my systems yet, but we just now did, so there we are. So now what we will do is we're done with that, because that's all we need is those little tiny, just those couple of lines. Go to sec report, new record, set a couple of fields, and then go back to the original layout. So but the original layout, this is the funny thing is, the original layout may and or may not be defined. So you may need to, in this case, you may need to tell it to go back to the entry page. If it's not working, tell it to go back to the entry page. But it should go back to the original layout, which is the one that you start with. So, but if I do find that sometimes if you go through, you go to one layout and then you go to another layout and then you go to another layout, that sometimes it's just safer to tell it to go to a specific layout, go back to the entry page versus the original layout, because sometimes the system gets confused and it's like, which original, are we talking about the last layout, the layout before that, the layout before that, because you went through 4 or 5 layouts. But in my case, it tends to always work on original layout, FYI. But if you do have an issue, correct it by just simply changing it to say entry page. Then it's going to set our error box +1, which will add to that, and then it's going to halt the script. Halt the script. We're done. But if it does find information on you, so all we've been dealing with now is what if it doesn't find information on me? What if we don't have access to this information? I'm going to move my thing a little bit because I'm being a little loud. I can tell my thing is just going crazy. So what if we do find information? This is where it starts to kick in. So if we do find information, we're going to set our variable, and this is, remember when I was talking about the destination field under the user data table? So we're going to set a variable, and we're going to call that variable layout. So $layout, and that is the destination. And what that means is, the reason why I named it that is because I want to know, what layout do you want me to go to? What layout should I send this person to with this number? Okay, and then I set another variable, the name, the person's name. And how I did that was I set the value of this, and if you look, it's actually a we can specify it. So it's $name, but what it basically says is user database. So you'd have to go into here and you'd have to go to user database. And then once you click on user database, you would go user database and you would click on the first name. You double click on the first name, it would throw it in there. And then we'll use this ampersand, the and then we'll use the quotation marks, but we have to put a space between the quotation marks. And then another ampersand, and the user database last name. So you would have to double click on the first name, click on the and sign, click on the quotations, and in the center of the quotations, press your space bar so that it'll give it a space. And then click on the outside of the quotation marks, just on the outside, right here. Use the and ampersand again, and then double click on the user database last name. So user database and last name. What that does is it takes the first name and the last name and puts them together with a space in between them. Pretty simple. And then we're going to set a variable, and that variable is going to be the script, which is going to be the user database active. And then we're going to go to the layout, and the layout that we're going to go to is, it's kind of funny how this works, but you have to do, if you go to a layout, you double click, you have to go to layout according to, so let me just do this really quick. If you go to layout and you click on this, you can go out, you can do go to layout by name or by calculation. So do by calculation. Layout name by calculation. And if you go by calculation, it'll bring up this window. And then all you have to do is put in, as you see, the $sign layout. And so that will create that little go to the layout. See? But you can't just say go to layout and then when it comes up, type in something. I mean, you have to do it by calculation. So layout by calculation is how you have to do that. If I wasn't enough on that. And then we have to set a field. Now, so what the field is doing is it's setting, like in this case, it would set my name in the name in a box, in a specific box. So let's go, now that you've got all of that information and we've seen the script completely. Let's go to let's go into our admin really quick. And let's look at our user data because that's kind of a big deal. So the user data here is, if you see the very first one that I have up here, there's no code in it. The only thing that I put is administrator. There's no last name, no record, no nothing. It's a blank record with the exception of the first name is administrator. That's it. After that, we have all this other data. And as you can see here, if you type in my number, there's my first name, my last name. This is my destination. My destination is the admin window. Now, all you have to do is, if you go to your layout, you'll see it. It'll say admin window. So you have to write it exactly that same way, admin window. And then the ending dates, the access, the wage, the last record, the current record, and then here is the security link. So if we were to edit the layout, we'll see that this is the active field, right? And the other one was destination. So the active field, what that does, how you get the active field is you actually have to go to, so let's go back to our admin page. It's this field. So remember the way that we've done our security stuff? So if you don't, what you can do is you want them to go to a place. So let's run our script debugger really fast, and then let's get out of here and we'll run our script debugger. And then you guys can maybe see some of the performance of how it works. So we'll just go through that really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and add my number. And then I'm going to push admin and it'll bring it over. Now I'm going to move it over here so you guys can see exactly what it's doing. So if we press the F6, it'll step us right into the script. If it's empty, menu security box, which it isn't, because you saw me type stuff in there, right? So it's going to skip right over it. And then it's going to say if error box is +2 or not. Well, it's not. So it has to check that first line. And then if the first line, if that is not true, it'll skip to the end of the if, as you just saw. Just skip to the end of the if. That's going to check the third one. Well, it's going to skip. If you notice, it'll skip right to here. So it's going to check if the first line is true, it'll read the rest of it. If the first line is not true, it will not read the rest of it, right? So it skipped it. Now we're going to set the variable. So we're automatically going to set this variable for me. We're going to set the field, which means we're going to blank it out. We'll set the other field, freeze the window, go to layout. And this is where it gets interesting. So now it's going to enter the find mode. It's going to set a field. Remember the field? The field that it's going to set is this passwords, which is the code field. And see how it set it already? And now it's going to put the error capture on. It's going to perform a find. And what it finds is, in this case, you can't see any of the data because I've closed all the data off. You cannot see it unless there's a window that will allow you to see it. Now that's complicated, but don't worry about it. But the data is actually there. It's just invisible. It's invisible. So it's going to take that information. It's going to, if it's empty, the passwords, which it's not. So it's going to skip over all that stuff, right? And then now we're going to set some variables. I know it's going to be tough to read that because it doesn't want to just do that. Okay, so here we are. So it's going to set some variables. It's going to set my name. It's going to set my layout, which is my destination. Then we're going to go to that by calculation, right? By calculation. So we're going to go to that. Ta-da, here we are. In the administration box. See it? We're in the administration box. And now what it's going to do is it's going to set my script, my name. The reason why it's setting this set field by name, which is script and then name, is because you have to know which field to fill in and then what to put in that information. And that could be the cloudiest, most difficult part of it. So we will show you that and how that works. So F6 to do it. There my name pops in and then the script will halt and we're done. We can close that out. So that's how that works. But let's go back to the exit and let's find out how we accomplished this very bottom line. So how we do that is we specify the target field. The target field that we're looking for is the $ script, right? $ script. That's our target field. And our calculated result is $name. $name. Should be pretty basic. And so we set field by name. If you just come down to the bottom and you just type set. Okay, learn how to type. So here it says set field by name. So you can set the field or set field by name. Here I have just a set field. you can't click on this set field and then go to target field and find the target field. I guess you probably could, I guess. Well, what would it be? User database, target field. No, this one would actually be, you'd have to go in, you'd have to do like, yeah, you can't do that. Just don't do that. Just don't do that. Just set field by name. So this one, delete it. If you just type in set field or set, then you'll get all that stuff. So just type in set, and you'll see it's set field by name. Select the set field by name. And then that way, all you got to do is, when you go into here, you can specify the target by its name. So as you saw, we did $script. We said OK, and then we specified the calculated result. And the calculated result was $name. And that's how we achieved that line. I'm going to delete that because we don't really need it on my record. Delete that because we don't need that on my record either. So how do we do this? How do we get, in our user database, how do we get that information that we want when we want it? So I know it's complicated, so hopefully I can give you guys a reasonable answer as to how this works. So what we want to do, what we're actually looking for is, as you know, if we go someplace, we want to be able to track what's going on. So in this admin section, if there was no username, if there was no passcode down here, if this was blank, this username thing down here, I wouldn't be able to push any of these buttons. Now, we did this so that if someone accidentally ended up on this page by some weird mishap, the script stopped working somewhere in between, there was an interruption in the script, and it stopped on this page or stopped near this page or whatever the case might be, and it just accidentally threw someone into here, which is possible. It has happened to me. In the years that I've been using FileMaker, it literally has happened to me that I've just ended up on some random page somewhere and been like, how did I get here? So what we did was we added all the security into this system where if is empty, and as you saw in all the script, if is empty, the security link, if is empty, the passcode, if is empty, username, go to some other, go to the security breach vault. Don't let them go anywhere. Keep track of who they are. So this is a field that must be done. It must be filled in. So how we did that was we just simply went into edit layout, grabbed our inspector, and if you just go into data and you select this field, you'll see it says it right there, admin, ;, security link. If you go to the right side of it and you left click and hold it, you can highlight it, Control-C that button, and then when you go into your user data, you can see right here, that's all I did. If you click on this field, this field, I can Control-V and it'll put it right in there. So it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple process as to, this is my active. I call it my port link, but it's my active field. So, and what that does is it says, it gives me the name of a specific field. That's what I'm looking for. And so when we were doing the script for our admin button, come on, double click it. When we're doing that, we're setting this variable, go to the layout. Here is our script. So the variable is the $script is that value is that active field. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense for you. I hope that resolves the issue. or any issues that you might have. And then you go to layout by calculation, $ layout, and you set field by name, script the name. Now, I don't know why I called it script, because it really didn't, it doesn't make any sense to call it script. I should have said field name or field or whatever. But I didn't. I wrote script, so that's kind of where we live with. We live with what we type in there. But this should say field name, $ field name. And then that would basically say, okay, you want to set the field, and this is the field that you want to set, and then this is what you want to set in that field. So if you set field by name, we're going to set that admin password field, and we're going to put my name in it. Pretty simple. So hopefully that answers any questions that you had, so that you would know if we added anything into the system. Oh, here it sent me to, apparently I typed in the wrong thing, but it did put my name in here, which is kind of weird. I must have pushed the wrong button. I pushed inventory restock and not admin. So yeah, as admin, you can go anywhere that you want to. You can go to register. You can, any individual can do the exact same thing. You can go into, that's kind of weird that my logout request popped way over there. Logout request. If you want to log out, please do, please clock in, clock out. You guys remember I did the clock in, clock out button too. But the user data that we have is critical for the whole system. It's really cool in the sense that user data, you can put any information you want in there, and instantaneously you can create a record from or for that individual, and you can instantaneously create an ability to track that person so that you know where they are. You can say this person is on register 1, this person's on register 2. You pretty much can be able to do any of that stuff relatively quickly. Now we did set an end date, we did put a clear, and we did do an exit app, and the only thing that exit app does is it just exits the application. And as I've discovered in some instances, when you are closing down shop for the night and you go to your computer, your desktop, and you try and close the program, it says, oh, I'm sorry, but this program is currently being used by this individual or this laptop or this system, and so don't shut it down because someone's currently using it. This allows you to go to that tablet because it's just on. You can just go to the tablet and exit the app. Most of the time, if they're not being used a lot, or like if they haven't been used in 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, they go into that standby mode, and when they go into the standby mode, it kind of closes the program down, so that it lets you close your program down on your desktop or your laptop or whatever you're using. So it does that, but I decided I would add the exit app just so you can. Now clear errors, all that does is if there are a bunch of errors here, it allows us to know that those errors are there. So if I type in 1545 and I hit my admin, it cleared it out, but see how it brought me to my page? Brought me here. It didn't say anything, but it gave me a strike. You guys notice that? So now if I type in my correct one and I go into my security, there it is right there. On today's date, at this exact time, someone used the admin button, and this is the number that they put in there, 1545. So this information is very helpful. You can add more, like I said, you guys can add more information if you want to. If you really wanted to, you could type in, you could put in a text and you could say, this is the button that they used or whatever, the attempt. And we'll click off and we'll click back on. And then we'll hold the control and we'll put Come on. Dang turkey. They want to line up. There we go. And now, so I just held control to bring it over. And then this one would be, you know, entered. We could write in entered code. And click off of it. And that way we have it. So now if you were to exit the layout, it would tell you this is the attempt, you know, attempted use, whatever, and then this is the code. You can do that if you want to. It's just going to replicate them. If you want to, you can add like just a date box, and then you can specify them by date. Personally, I don't care to do that. For me, it's all about being able to tell. I can say these are the numbers that people put in, and if I look at this once a week, if I look at this once every couple of days or whatever, I come into this layout and I look at it. What it does is it I can see trends in it. So if I see someone's pushing 1151, 1152, 1153, 1154, and I see that those numbers are sequential of each other, then I know somebody's trying to find a code. And then all I have to do is figure out what button that they're pushing and what time they were doing it, and I can pretty much tell you what person is trying to hack into my system. Who's trying to hack into my system? Because 9 out of 10 times it's going to be an employee. It's going to be someone that's working for you or someone that has worked for you. If you see repeated and continuous attempts all the time, the cool thing is you can change it to an 8 base number. You can change it to a 7 base number. You can change it to a 10 base number. Whatever you want to. You can change those codes instantaneously. So if you go back and you go into user data, you can change this number for under the admin section. I can change this number instantly. I can change it to 25. Let's say I change it to 2500. And I go back to my admin, I exit out, and you guys are used to seeing the 1911. Type in 1911. Nope. Not going to work. It's not going to work for anything. I type in 1911, and I go into register 1. It's not going to work. It says, my data is either corrupt or missing. Please contact administration. And believe it or not, it sent a thing to my admin. So now let's find out what the deal is. Type in my new number. Oh, I got to clear the errors. So I can clear the errors because I did get too many of them. And I go to admin. Ta-da! Here I'm in admin. You see how quick that was? How quickly I was able to change that? So in the user data, you can change these numbers instantaneously. So if you do notice a trend, you do notice that somebody's trying to hack into your system, and you've got numbers, you've got passcode numbers that are near it or nearby where they're doing, just go pick a number that's different. Pick a number that they picked. That'll do it. Because they'll think, I already tried that number, it didn't work. I already tried that one, it didn't work for me. So you could be like, yeah, I'm going to pick that number. I mean, be as classy as you want to. If you don't want a number, don't use a number. Use something else in there. I think, though, that the code number is actually a number field. Let's find out. It is passwords is a number field, and it is indexed. So I say okay. We'll just cancel that because we don't really need that. But yes, it is a number, but it doesn't limit you to how many numbers you can put in there. If I wanted to put 10 numbers in there, I could put 10 numbers in there. If I wanted to put 5 numbers in there, I could put 5 numbers in there. So in this case, with the admin, you have access to every single button, every single one. So if I wanted to add a couple of numbers to this, I could quickly just add a couple of numbers to it, and voila, now I have to push in 6 digits. I actually liked my pass number, so I'm going to leave it at what it was. And we'll just go back to our admin. And now if we go into our security, you'll see, look, somebody entered 1911. Somebody entered 1911. What are they thinking? Okay, so if this did help you, let me know. If this did not help you, let me know. Because if there's an issue and if it's not resolving, we need to figure out why your system isn't working, so I can get you guys up and running, because that's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me. I like to make sure that you guys have a system that works for you, that works effectively for you, and is economical, because that's a big deal to me. The whole reason why I started this channel was to help you guys, and if I am helping you guys, that makes me feel good. If I'm not helping you guys, let me know how, and I will help you guys. I will do whatever I possibly can. So I'm all about small business, and I'm all about helping you guys succeed in your small business if I can. That's what I do. So until next time, thank you guys very much for watching me. If you have any questions, leave comments in the section below. If you have any comments or questions or anything else, or nastygrams, just let me know those too. I don't really care, but I actually do. So please be positive. I like the positive ones more than I like any negative ones. Of course, I don't get any negative ones, so that's good. Anyway, be good to each other, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget, later on, I will be doing, I'm doing the menu one still, so the digital menu one, so that's like really super cool. Can't wait to get deeper into that one and really come up with some great solutions. So I'm looking very forward to that. We'll see you guys on the next one. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, bye guys.